Hi everyone, my name is Vika Safragina. I am with Lights Cine Lenses. I'm in charge of their market development, and today we're going to talk about cinematographers' career. Actually, this applies to not just cinematographers, but since this is a cinematography expo, we're going to sort of concentrate on directors of photography, and we're going to talk about all the different aspects and sections and outlets in the industry of how we can take advantage of in terms of to move your career in the direction you want to go to. And we'll start where it all starts, with you one day deciding you want to be a cinematographer. And actually, no, we're going to start with introductions. Sorry. Sorry. So I'll start from the end. At the end, we have two cinematographers. First we have Luisa Dalé, right there, from Brazil. And then we have Naomi Amarger, who splits her time between New York and France. Then we have an agent based in UK from WPA, Esther Sulka. We have an editor-in-chief of Camera and Light magazine. Oh, sorry, I lost my space. Carmen. Then we have Irina Krutza-Ruzbiska. That was a test. Who is head of business development at Crew United. We have a publicist, Francesca Zerengi. And then we have a founder and a director of Mallorca International Film Festival, Sandra Lipsky. Round of applause. Okay, now we start where it all begins, which is where you are a cinematographer out of school, or you've done some stuff, or you worked your way up by working in a crew. And I want to ask our ladies at the end, in terms of before you go to agents and publicists and festivals, what kind of sort of career management do you do, and how do you see this social media, website, agents, publicity, all that stuff at an earlier stage in your careers?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very strange.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Luisa. I am based in Brazil. I'm Brazilian, but I also based at São Paulo and LA. I just came back from LA. I went to AFI, and I don't have an agent yet. I've been working as a cinematographer for the past 9 years, and very important too that Naomi and I were talking about it yesterday is I think Instagram is a very, very, very strong tool for making connections in our field. I got a lot Instagram and social media in general. I've been working a lot on just like knowing what to put on Instagram. I don't put everything I work with. It's part of my self knowledge as a professional, understanding what do I want to do, so what am I going to show to the people that want me that I want to hire me. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous, and I do this with my website as well. I try to be very organized with like a list of people, with producers, with production companies that I want to work with, and be very attentive. And I think in my graduation speech at AFI, we had a person saying like we get most of our lives as DPs, we get no's, and at one point we get used to getting no's, but then I think there's a beauty in getting a no, because then you're also like understanding your path more clearly as well. So like the limits are important for you to understand where do you want to go as a cinematographer. So like I believe that social media for me nowadays is one of the most important tools for me to put myself out there, to work out in Brazil, outside Brazil, and just making good connections and knowing how to present myself the way I want to be seen. And that's very important, and I think even in a personal level, that's very important for a professional and an artist to understand who they are and how they want to be seen, right? Sorry, did I say it's okay? Yeah? Okay.
Naomi?
Hi, I'm Naomi. I'm from France, but recently I've been. Oh, speak up. I'm Naomi. I'm from France. Weirdly, I started working as an actress, and that was my entrance door to the film world. So long before I studied cinematography, I already had an agent as an actor and was taught how to self-promote very early on because it's such an important part of being an actor. And it's actually one of the reasons that made me want to not be an actor because it was a lot of self-promotion. And then I studied cinematography and loved it, and I thought that I really found my place. And then I got out of school and realized that being a cinematographer is also a lot of self-promotion. But then you're not self-promoting yourself really, more your work. So I think it's somehow more comfortable. I feel more comfortable with that. I agree that social media is a huge platform, I think, for us because we started in our career at the same time as social media. One time I was at a conference at Camera Image when I was still a student and someone said that Instagram is the first thing that recruiters go see when they want to hire you. That really struck me. Then I also love meeting people in person. So I think festivals are a really great way to connect with others and sell your work as well. When you have a film there, it's great. When you don't, it can be slightly more intimidating, but I think you should still go. Also, a lot of festivals have programs for young cinematographers. Earlier this year, I was very lucky to participate in Berlinale Talents program, which is a week-long workshop for 200 filmmakers from all over the world. So you not only meet other cinematographers who have the same struggles you have, but you also meet directors, producers, editors, composers, and it's a very strong global community that really helped me as well.
Yeah,
Just following up on that, like I think it's what a lot of societies are doing nowadays is just creating mentorship programs for us to get into the industry and just being able to shadow like more experienced DPs that in the goal to set on with them and learn from them. I was an ASC mentee in 2022.
Me too.
Yeah, you too? In 2022. And I know that BSc has a program as well. The Hungarian has a program as well, the Hungarian Society. The Canadian Society also has a program, so I really encourage. That was really, really nice for me to just be able to connect with someone who my mentor shot Mandalorian and, just having that kind of exchange that I wouldn't be able to if I wasn't in this kind of program. So, yeah.
So now I want to move a little bit further. You've got your website set up, you've got your social media, your Instagram, you've got your IMDb up to date, you wrote yourself a nice bio, you've shot a few things, maybe submitted them to the festival, and now you start thinking, agent, do I need an agent? When do I need an agent? How do I need an agent? So I'm going to move conversation to Esther, and also what role does an agency? Obviously, we know the basic. Agents helps you sign contracts and helps you with the legal jargon of the contracts and all that. But in terms of actual image and career and your sort of public persona, what role does an agent play in that for a cinematographer?
Hello, everyone. So basically, yeah, as Louisa and Naomi mentioned, I think nowadays Instagram is the first thing that we really pay attention to, and obviously we follow a lot of cinematographers that are already repped by someone, but a lot of them are also unrepresented talent that we follow and think that are very, very talented. Maybe there is not enough on their reel yet, so that's something. I do believe that probably Instagram is the first thing that we decide if we would like to work with cinematographer. I think from a cinematographer's perspective, if you feel like you need someone to help manage your diary, help manage your invoices and stuff like that, then it's the time to reach out to someone. You know, obviously there are many agencies out there. I think each of them have their own, you know, reputation, and you've heard from your fellow colleagues that who you would like to work with. So I think it's just an email to everyone, to the agencies, saying like, look, I'm looking for representation. This is my work. This is my website. You know, would love to have a conversation about it. And then, yes, we do look at how much do you have on your reel, and if there's anything that we can do with, and build stronger network for yourself, as well as how much work we would be able to get from what you have on your reel, because it is very, very hard to just have that talent. No, in this day and age, it's a lot about who you know, who you have worked with, and also going to festivals. It's not always, you know, you don't always have to be nominated, or, you know, it's not always have to be a feature film that is nominated, like, you know, in Cameramage or is as Venice Film Festival, but smaller things such as like UK MVAs. I primarily look after music videos and commercials, and then this is festivals like Cyclope Film Festival that happens in Berlin. It's UK MVAs, which is Music Video Awards. I've found a lot of great talent in these smaller festivals. And then what happens when you sign an agent? When you sign a cinematographer, what happens when you get an agent? We do pressure a lot to work on your website. That's the first thing, but, you know, Luis already mentioned, Instagram is the first thing that I think everyone looks at. Nowadays, no one goes and looks at your website anymore, so it is much about what you put on there, and, you know, what kind of work you promote. And obviously everyone always wants to promote something that is more closer to, you know, more closer to their heart, or what speaks closer to, you know, what they like to do or what they don't like to do. And that's where we come in and say, you know, I like to speak to my clients and say, you should really promote this job, because I do think that, like, there's a lot of good people attached to this project. You know, it's not always, you might have not had the greatest experience working on the exact project, but you know, a lot of industry sees it, and, you know, you get associated to something like that. What else?
Any tips on, like, what should you put on your Instagram? How, you know, vast should your bio be? How many pages? You know, do you separate your bio from your CV, from your list of credit? Like, any of these sort of practical tips?
Yes, definitely.
On what should be on your website, how up to date your IMDb page should be, how often should you pay attention? Should you have a wiki page? You know, so tips on that, please.
Yeah, of course. For a website, I think websites are it's a very difficult conversation with every single cinematographer we see. We say, you have to update your website. It needs to be simple. You know, if producer goes and looks at your website, they probably have maximum 3 minutes of their time to spend on there. You know, we suggest our clients to look at the analytics of their website, and to see where people spend the most time on which kind of jobs that you have on your website people spend the most time on, and that's how you know that these are the jobs that actually probably gets you the next job. Websites need to be very, very simple. One landing page, maximum of 12 projects probably. You know, you have your commercials, you have your music videos, narrative projects. Bio, I think it's always important to have something in your bio, but as I mentioned, I don't think that people spend more than 3 minutes of their time looking at someone's website. So I think it's very important, you know, to mention where you're from, what you've done, and probably what inspires you, just because it's something that, like, shows a bit more of your personality. Yes, there is obviously resumes, and as an agent, we do work on your we do work on the resumes as soon as there is a new credit to add, we obviously update them in real time. Same with IMDb. That's something that we do for our clients. Same for Instagram. They all need to be, you know, pretty pictures. I do think Instagram has to show inspires you or shows a bit more of your personality, of what you're gravitating towards as a cinematographer, or what kind of, obviously the people that you worked with, but also it has to show some kind of a personality of that.
And what about BTS pictures of yourself?
Stories.
Okay.
Instagram stories. It's quite crazy to say, but people really remember what you post on the stories. I think that's, the reels and the stories is like where, because of I think the grid is not really seen, or a lot what is being posted on grid might be missed. So...
Sorry, what's grid?
Because the actual grid on Instagram.
Oh, I thought this was some other platform. I was like,
no.
Okay, sorry.
Like just the grid, right. When you go on someone's page. But obviously, when you have a big following, like you're following a lot of different cinematographers, a lot of different artists. I think stories is what people actually pay the most attention to. And I've seen a lot of my clients, they like to post where they're at and what they're doing, obviously shooting, and it is very, very important to do it. And you don't always have to post on real time. I think it's even better to probably save something for a quieter day when you can post something. And then, because you know that people do really pay attention to it, you will meet someone 3 months later and said, "Oh, I remember you were working in Belgium on this project. How did it go?" Because that's where it all goes, and that's what people pay attention to.
Very interesting. So since we're talking about online presence and profiles, Irina, let's talk about Crew United, and at which point do you create a profile on Crew United, and what is Crew United? Maybe we need a little introduction. I'm not sure if everybody here knows.
Everybody heard about Crew United. Come on, guys. Yeah, so of course Crew United is an international platform for filmmakers, for every person involved in the audiovisual production, but also for companies and institutions. And our focus is Europe, but of course our users are international, coming from literally all over the world. And it's a platform where you can, of course, have your profile, your verified profile, which is very important. The fact that you are able to register with our platform shows that you already have credits, because, of course, in order to register, you have to introduce yourself, and you will be verified. We are asking questions to our users, and basically, let's look at this whole from the viewpoint of the user, who is a producer, who is someone who is going to hire you guys. So why this is so important to have one place where you list everything, and you can be found, you can be searched after your not only after your credits, but also after the type of productions you have experience in. You can be searched after the languages you speak. You can be searched after your abroad experience, because it's sometimes important if you worked in a different production system. So all this very, very specific filters allow the producer or someone, the head of department, to find very specific people. And it saves time. So speaking about 1 minute, 3 minutes, it's definitely a huge factor. It saves time to be present on a platform where you can be found, searched, and where you can present yourself with all the kind of production types, because we do list all types of production, even the ones which will be invented tomorrow. Then, of course, we do some research and talk. So we have international editing rooms. Also, I'm in charge of Poland, but also I work with all the European countries, and we are in our team. We have experts on local markets, and they will talk to you guys if you come not from Germany or from other countries. So we will be in touch with you, and we will also support you. About that I will talk a little bit later. So having this portfolio means you are out there, you are in a huge community, because we have over 54,000 registered members right now, and you can be found, and you can be found quickly, and the person who finds you knows it's a verified, it's a person with actual credits. Those projects were made, because we are checking this as well. So this is also very important. So, of course, the profiles on Crew United are very good positioned on Google. So this is a round remark. Yeah. And apart of that, you have, of course, access to industry information, because what we do have is also a huge database of projects on different stages of production. So being a premium member, you have access to upcoming productions in development, which you can follow. You can follow also people, you can research, you can do your homework and understand who is working with whom, who got financing where, and you can see which projects will be shot within the next 2 years. All these tools are there for you. Not only you can promote yourself, but you can do your homework, you can do your market research, and you have to be up to date, right? So of course you can Google this stuff, you can follow the press, which is one way, and you shouldn't skip that. But we do the work for you as well. We do enter financing for upcoming projects. So as soon as a project has some budget attached coming from a regional fund or other fund, it's on Crew United. And so you can find these projects and you can follow them, you can contact the producers, and you can start your network and start to connect with future productions. Okay, you can follow people who matter, you can get notifications if something is going on in a profile of a member. So you can see who is working with whom. We have all these additional tools. And you can connect your Instagram. I think in general, Crew United or not, the two platforms are, professional portfolio on a networking platform and Instagram, the combination is perfect. Because of course, a platform like ours, but not only, there are, as mentioned, different platforms, allow to showcase everything in one place. And Instagram is obviously the very needed addition where you can show your work. Yeah, the bottom line is that you have to control and own your digital space. This is probably something which is very important. What we do, and I mentioned this before, we do trainings and webinars for our users. So there is an onboarding webinar. We explain how to create your portfolio, because it's not an obvious thing. I often meet with people who say, all right, I'm not there yet, maybe it's too early, I have nothing to show. And sadly, a lot of women do that, even if they have much more credits than the male colleagues, which is very... So immediately we go into conversation, and then there is a lot to showcase, there is a lot to show. And of course, this always has to be a very intentional, you mentioned this before, a very curated choice of your activities. And we do support our users in this regard as well. So I do, those are my notes for self-management workshops I do. I have to stop now, otherwise I will do the workshop here. We don't want that.
They might.
But this is not only a platform, this is a community, and there are experts there to help you in your own language, ideally even. Yeah. So it's work, and every profile has to be updated. Every digital presence has to be consistent. This is when I verify a registration of a DOP. I always go on every link I get from him or her, or I have to research, because many people just think I'm famous enough, I just register. I don't deliver anything, so I do the research. And there is sometimes you have the impression that the profiles on different media do not belong to the same person, because there is such they're coming from, they are not updated. The first problem, you do not update your profiles, guys. This is really a sin nowadays. And but also, in the same time, I see a huge improvement when it comes to DOPs. DOPs are right now, from my perspective, right after actors. So really, really well done. So I said too much probably already.
Hi, I'm Sandra Lipsky. I run the Evolution Mallorca International Film Festival. We have a cinematography focus. I'm sure I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I just wanted to comment on their all the things that they've said, and mostly I would just put myself in your shoes hearing it, and I get super intimidated because all the curation and all the intentional postings can be really intimidating, I think. And now from my point of view, as a festival director, as a programmer, me looking at projects, and because we have the cinematographers looking at which cinematographers shot what, and then also researching them, I think I just want to take away the intimidation of being so super curated. At the end of the day, it's just important, like she just said, to be up to date. And I think it's important to post and to not, like the other day I looked at a profile and I look at the cinematographers and the last post was July 2023. That's not acceptable. Okay, so maybe then you didn't have an idea, you didn't have a project that you could post. It doesn't matter. So I want to give you a practical tip of what you can do. So for example, as cinematographers, what I think is a great idea is you go online, you Google the screenshots of your favorite films, you download 10 of them, and you post one each week for the next 10 weeks. So there's your post already, and you say what you like about it, in love with the lighting here, in love with this, whatever. But then it doesn't even have to be something that you have to create from your own work. Maybe you're not comfortable in sharing it, or the director said don't post anything yet. But you have to find creative ways to post something that is easy for you and where you're not intimidated and you don't have to ask a million other people for, like, can I post this? Who do I have to tag? No. So this is just for me to give you a little bit of a push that make it easy for you. Don't be intimidated. Don't curate too much. Just make sure you do something.
Well, and I heard this in previous panels, and maybe cinematographers are much better at this now because of these panels that we do. So I'm going to take all the credit. No, but somebody or in a different time said that copy somebody who is doing it very well. There's nothing wrong with that. Look at some of the, Seamus McGarvey. I stalk him because of what he posts, and he doesn't always post work. He just posts things, and it's not his dinner, but it's very interesting content. David Mullen is great. Cinematography is right along. I'm not saying every cinematographer is a photographer, but many of you are. So it shouldn't just be your work. It could just be you saw something that caught your eye outside of your window, and you can post that, and that could be your daily post.
Can I add something?
Yes,
Sorry.
of course.
So I just want to say I completely agree with you, Sandra, and thank you for sharing that. I had the exact same thought. And also, we've all got really lots of nice, lofty ideas and advice. And, life is not linear. We'll throw at you amazing curveballs. We'll throw at you strikes, pandemic, you name it. So, for 2 years, you're not working. So what exactly are you going to post? So I also would like to say that aside having your, online presence, I would invest in growing and getting to know your people, your community, your tribe, get to know your colleagues, your friends, mentors, reach out, really invest in that and post sustainably and mindfully and post with things that relate to you and your work. But also the other thing I would like to add, which is probably a very hot topic, is consider whether your online account is work and personal. And if you are going to blend the two, we are very happy that you're having a fun time with your friends out partying, but also make sure you're not posting too much of that, because again, you will have producers, you will have productions that will go and look at your work, and seeing you with a hangover the next day, it's not
and
probably...
a phone call from your publicist going,
right, exactly.
Take that off
Take
now.
That off now.
If you have a publicist.
If you have a publicist.
Well, since we have publicists talking.
So, I would say that as well. And also, of course, everyone's free to, post about everything. We've got, freedom of speech, thankfully. But, consider also, when you are thinking about politics and religion, okay, it's a very, very delicate line. It's very important. And I feel it's also another big elephant in the room that a lot of people don't want to talk about. But you do need to sort of think about that as well. And it's not, we're not saying, censoring your views and everything. But again, think, who are you working with? Who's looking at your profile? Just be considerate with that. When we think about, mindfulness and being inclusive, we're also thinking about everyone else that's working with you or would like to work with you, who is, checking you out online. So politics and religion as well, I think, personally, I would not post those on my professional account, but that's my take. That it doesn't have to be the right one, obviously, but that's my advice as well.
Yeah, I just want to add. I think the Brazilian, you said it before, Brazilian cinematographer. She was saying that she was posting things or photos or material of things that look like things you want to do, and I think that's amazing. So this is intentional in a way where you can, like I said, you can download pictures from whatever movie you like and say, and people will. This is when you keep posting screenshots or material from films that you love, and producers, directors see that, they associate you with that style of cinematography, with that style of filmmaking, and that's where you want to go. So it's all sort of like a, whatever you like that word or not, but a manifestation of where you're going with your career. That's what I wanted to say.
So I want to circle in press into this conversation. So let's say you did all these things right, and you've got your Career United profile, and people are finding you, and you've got some jobs, and you might have even gotten film in a festival. But you can't afford a publicist. Yes, sorry, Fran. How can you get your name in the press? And what do you look, as an editor-in-chief of one of the magazines that talks about cinematography, what do you look for? And also any tips on, I'm just going to throw all the questions.
Yeah.
Any tips on how to properly get ready for an interview with the press? Mm-hmm. And what kind of package should you have always ready for press? So press loves you and will come back to you because you did it so right the first time.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's a pity that you can afford a publicist because I work very closely with publicists and it's a very good collaboration always. But okay, first of all, of course, we have a few pages on the magazine, so we cannot include everything I want to include. So it's so sad for me. And I feel also responsible to highlight new artists. So for me, it's very important to do something different nowadays. I tend to look new cinematographers, new looks, new perspectives, new ways of new narratives. Because I'm.
Do you look on Instagram?
I look on Instagram, but when I didn't find what I'm looking for maybe I'm in maybe in the website or maybe in an agency or something. But no, it's not my first step. My first step is, of course, watching a good film, watching a good commercial, going to festivals and see the last works. And then when I see a film that I like it, I search for the cinematographer. But also for me it's important to know the collaborators of the cinematographer, which directors, which producer companies, also gaffers and all the crew. And if they used to work always with the same crew, for me it's special. I know it's not always possible, but I think it's a good way of doing things like, for example, Sirat is a very good film and it's always the same director, the same cinematographer, the same camera operator, and I think that makes a difference. And also a very good relation with press. If you can let us know when you start a film, if you are shooting something with special equipment, because this industry is very conventional in its own ways, in the type of equipment you choose. So we are always expecting new equipment, new lenses, new cameras, new lighting to offer something different to our readers. So if you are doing this, please let us know, and for sure we will be interested. And also, if you want to write something in this issue, we have Manu Leon, which is also a AEC mentor, and he's been recently included as an active member of the AEC the Spanish Society of Cinematographers, and he's been writing a lot of technical articles, very good technical articles in the magazine. So I think that nowadays is more well known for that. And indeed, a lot of DOPs from the Spanish Society of Cinematographers have written in the magazine, because maybe interviewing their favorite DOPs or talking about something new, and I think that makes a difference to be known in the press, or to have more press coverage. Of course, if you win an award in a festival, okay, let us know, please. And of course, okay, and if you do a very good, maybe a very innovative process in your films, like in this issue we include a TV show named La Canción, the song, which made a true grain process, and it was in Cinelab in London, and it was the second time in Europe to do so. So for us, it's super important to include it in. And it was the cinematographer who called me and told me and let me know. And it's a very good way to be included in the magazine.
Well, and since I come from the manufacturers world, and I've worked with most manufacturers that cover camera department, if you can't afford a publicist, there's a free way. Just go to the manufacturer and say, hey, I used this, and find a marketing person of that manufacturer, and they will happily put together a story of how you use their equipment and pitch it to people like Carmen, and not just Carmen, but the whole press list. So that is definitely, and especially like Carmen said, if you did something unusual with a piece of gear, or you did innovative process or some new workflow, anything that's interesting, manufacturers will happily support you and do all the publicity for you. Again, sorry, Fran. So build a relationship with manufacturers. Know, the gear you're using. Have a contact directly with a marketing person at the companies, and they will be very helpful. Anybody else want to add so far to things we discussed, girls?
I just wanted to quickly add two things. I recently applied for a US visa, and that's when I realized that press was also needed for that, and that I didn't have much. So I started gathering wherever my name was mentioned somewhere. But yeah, I had a lawyer tell me that press is always good to have if you want to apply to a visa or a program or something. And the few interviews I've done about products I've used, I thought were also a very interesting introspective process in how it makes you think about what you've done and put your intentions into words. And I think the same about building a website. I had conversation with a friend who is the same age as me. She works as a DP. She doesn't have an Instagram. She doesn't have a website. So it exists. But I was telling her that when I did my website during COVID, because I had a lot of time, and this is so much work when you don't know how to build a website. And it made me realize some patterns in my work or things I like to do, because I tried to, like a way that I have of shooting night scenes or specific framing that I do very often, and building my website and selecting stills from my films made me realize this. And I think without this, I wouldn't really know my work that much, if that makes sense. So it's also useful, like, for yourself as an artistic process, I think.
That's great. Let's talk about festivals and what you can do at festivals, whether you have a film there or you don't have a film there.
Okay, let's talk about festivals. Well, let me introduce quickly again. So Evolution Mallorca International Film Festival always happens at the end of October. The dates this year are 21st to 29th. And it's an 8-day festival, and we have a 3-day cinematography focus, which is going to be the first days. And this is super exciting. The way we started it was on our 10th, after our 10th edition. My husband, who's there sitting front row, who's a DP, scolded me and said, do something for cinematographers. You do a lot for actors and producers, and it's true. So we started, and the cinematography focus right away was just such a success, and everybody was excited about it. The first year there, we had Ed Lachman receiving the Cinematography Icon Award. Second year, Eric Messerschmidt. Last year, we had Anthony Mantle. This year, we are going to have a great lineup again. We have a lot of brands who came on board. Oh, now you can't hear me anymore.
I can.
Yeah, I can't.
Battery.
Battery. Yes? Yeah. Hello? No, I can't. I can't. Okay. I don't need to hear myself, I guess. This is weird now. So then a lot of brands came on board. We have Cameron Light as a media partner, who Carmen has been amazing. And so this is just for you guys to know, we have the cinematography focus, and we really, I think, while the years went on, and now is the fourth year, we really fell in love with all the opportunities that we were able to give cinematographers. So what we do is we have different panels, we have workshops, and for me it was really important from the beginning, and I said that to Ryan, I said, I don't want this to be only for cinematographers, because I don't want to do a cinematography festival. What I want to do is I want to create this part of the festival which opens up and invites directors, actors, everyone else who's making a movie to maybe learn more about the art and craft of cinematography. And what we had a couple of years ago was when we had Un Amor, which is a Spanish movie by director Isabel Cochet. We had an amazing film talk with her and her cinematographer. Isabel is known for operating a lot her own movies, not entirely, but partly. So there was a great conversation with her and her cinematographer about, like, well, what is the ratio, and how do you guys, decide which scenes, and when does Isabel step in, and how does her DP feel about it? So it was very much about also the relationships between cinematographers and directors, and and also actors and cinematographers. How actors can learn a lot about framing and how to move in front of the camera and how to learn how the camera sees you. It's not just showing up and knowing your lines. There's so much more to being a good trained actor, and I think cinematography is part of that. So this is what we do and what we create, these opportunities and classes and talks at the Cinematography Focus. And this is a platform that we created for DPs, and I think that was the question, right? What do we do for DPs? That's what we do. And we bring along, we have media and we have publicists, and Vika attends every year.
You need to come.
Yes, this is it. You need to come. And feel free to ask me later if you have any more questions.
Well, I'll have Fran add a little bit from the publicity side. How can a DP that doesn't have a publicist, because again we keep saying if you can afford, because once you can afford one, all these things we're talking about basically becomes your publicist's job. But until then, if you have any tips of how somebody without a publicist can make their way in a festival and make sure they get to talk to press, and they get to, if they have a film, and if they don't have a film, what should they do?
Thank you. So I think, at the end of the day, you are your best advocate, you are your best ally. I mean, you are your brand. So, you start by sort of building that from having, a strong sort of online presence, your website, your social media. But also, if you have a project that's coming out, and it's always best to go, with your whole production team. And this goes also with, if you have, a much big film coming out and you want more PR work and publicity around it, it's always best to sort of, go and talk to your director and producer and say, okay, guys, so we're going to this festival. What's the plan? Because yes, you go to a festival and it's great, but it's really quite important to build on that, to carry on with that momentum. So think about, again, look at the festival's website and check which magazines will be there. Camera and Light, go on their website, check who's the editor-in-chief, who is the contributor, and approach them and ask and say, will you be at the Mallorca Festival? Who will be your journalist? We've got this film in competition. We're really excited about it. And we've had this particular experience on it. We shot it, in 2 days in a really fancy location, and we have incredible stories to tell you. So, you can kind of do that sort of work a bit, and also, think about also podcasts and, attending events like this and meeting people, and after panel sort of, going up to to all the guests and sort of asking questions and asking Sandra, how do I get into your festival? How do I get featured in your magazine? So there's lots of little ways of building that. But really, I think it's not, I wouldn't say there's one fixed formula. There's not like one magic trick. And again, the film, you might really like the film, but it might not be the right time for it because for many other external factors which are beyond your control. And it's a combination of lots of things. And really, I always say that if there's one key sort of, one of the many key takeaways that we take from the pandemic and everything is like how important to have us together in person, talking and meeting, because yes, you can have an amazing, social media presence, but then again, there's the other side that some of the best, people I've collaborated with have, very minimal social media presence, and still they're out there doing fantastic work. So at the end of the day, your community, it's collaborative, it's group, it's all the people around you, and invest in this. Maybe don't go on, out every night for a drink with friends. Maybe save up the money and attend a festival or a trade show or, an event like this, because you will get so much more out of it, in my view. Because at the end of the day, we keep saying filmmaking is collaborative, and it really is. It's like, hanging out with the people that you know and that you want to meet. And the best way to do that is to just do it. You can, that's my advice. I don't know, does that answer? I go a bit,
For me,
You, yes.
don't forget the societies. I think it's a very good place to start connecting with people. I know that two cinematographers in the same film is like too much, but in the TV series, the TV shows nowadays, every cinematographer designs the cinematography, and then maybe they hire 3 or 4 cinematographers for the rest of the episodes. So I think making connections between cinematographers and starting with the societies of each country can be a good start.
Yes, just adding to that, another, apart from the societies, like being part of collectives inside of your community, like I'm part of the DAF, which is the collective of women, transgender and non-binary people of cinematography in Brazil. It's a great, we have like more than 500 members. And for me, I've been a member since 2018, and I'm also a member of other small collectives in LA, in New York, and it's just the exchange you have with your peers is just so rich, like in situations like technical, I need to solve this, how do I do it? Or I'm having this problem, like managing this person, like what would you do? And then this exchange is so rich, and I think it's not a competition. Like, we understand that it's not about competition. It's about community, it's about collaborating, and we all grow together when we decide that we have so much to give and so much to learn from our peers as well. So I completely agree with everything you say.
Sorry, yes. So, I think it's a matter of the new generations, because in my experience making interviews, before, when I make a question of what focal lenses did you use in this film, I don't remember. Okay, you remember, but you don't want to share with the others because you have fear of, they copy me. And nowadays it's more of sharing knowledge. Yeah. Mm.
I would just like to add about festivals and going to festivals. You don't always have to have a project in a festival. It is still very inspiring to go and see other people work, and I think it's very important to understand that, like, no one's going to look at you and think, why you're here because you don't have anything in the competition. It is very important if you can afford it, if you have the time. Obviously, if you book your tickets and you book your accommodation, you'll probably get a job, which is also very great. But it is important to attend all of these festivals, and there are a lot of great things happening in London, for example. You don't always have to travel, but I think that's something important.
And adding to have some press coverage, much needed in different life situations. And I mean, being an active part of an organization or a union can give you also some press, right? Because if you contribute, if you're proactive, if you do a workshop, if you work on something within an organization, this is also positioning you very nicely as a professional who has, first of all, was accepted into this very professional group of people, and secondly, is very active and competent. And so this is also very important. And speaking about festivals, and sometimes we get jobs which are not going to be paid. We know this is a small film. Make sure, if you have a good feeling about the script, that your statement will be included into the press materials. Even if it's a small film, you are not going paid. So, there are other benefits, right? So make sure that, as I said, your statement is there. That sometimes the director will not be able to go to a festival. Make sure that you are invited to a festival. This can go into your agreement even, into your... So make sure that you find other benefits which will help you to position yourself better in these small jobs as well. We're speaking music videos, we're speaking short films, so this all use of the opportunity to get some visibility and press.
So I want to make sure we have some time I have lots more questions, but that would be selfish of me. So let's see if we have any questions in the audience. If we do, we'll get a few of those. If not, I'll just keep going with my questions. I can't see anything. Oh, I see a hand.